Begin with breaking news around the Australian Open. Of course, we've had a third day of smoke there. We've got our reporter Natalie Unides on the scene in Melbourne. Nat, what can you tell us?
Yeah, so really interesting development here at the Australian Open qualifying event. Play has been suspended until at least 1 p.m. this afternoon. Now, that comes after it was delayed by an hour yesterday from 10 a.m. till 11 a.m. Of course, we saw some pretty distressing scenes yesterday during qualifying. A couple of players, including Jakupovic of Slovenia and, of course, Bernard Tomic from Australia, really struggling with the smoke yesterday at Melbourne Park. So qualifying has been delayed until at least 1 p.m. and training has also been delayed until at least 11. Of course, on the outside courts, the smoke is quite hazy here, as you can see in Melbourne. At this stage, the air quality is rated as very poor, but there is a chance that it could end up being hazardous, similar to what it was yesterday, which saw the delay of play. Of course, it has been very distressing for the players. A lot have come out saying that they're not happy with the way that officials have dealt with this, so there could still be a lot of water to go under the bridge here. Not the only sport to be affected in Melbourne, though, is the tennis. AFL clubs have moved their training indoors. Melbourne have actually cancelled their training. Collingwood and North Melbourne have moved indoors, and the races at Caulfield and Yarra Valley have also been cancelled. So smoke really causing havoc here in Melbourne, just days out from the start of the first Grand Slam of the year.
Yeah, the big difference seems to be what you're doing outside in those conditions. We know that the air's not good, Natalie, but people have experienced this in Sydney and Canberra. Walking around tends to be okay. It's that exertion, and tennis have these long games, a stifling sort of atmosphere, and that'd be the big concern, isn't it? People worry they might do damage over the next few months even.
Absolutely right. It's the exercise factor that's really affecting players. We see that they normally get to the second set, so after about an hour on court, they've started to see the effects. We saw this at Kooyong yesterday. Maria Sharapova was on court for 2 hours against Laura Siegemund of Germany, and they called it after that. They abandoned play at 5-all in the second set because they'd just been out there too long and they were really starting to have difficulties breathing. Some players have said it felt like there's spikes in their lungs, so it really is the exercise factor. Of course, there are still people out and about. It is still safe to go outside, but it is people that just have to be very cautious when they're exercising. Try not to go for runs, and perhaps if they are going to exercise, stay indoors or go to gyms instead, just to preserve their lungs, because, as I said, the air quality isn't fantastic. Not hazardous just yet, but still rated very poor. And as we saw yesterday, it was the worst in the world here in Melbourne. So it's certainly something for people to keep in mind.